Hey guys, hello everyone and welcome to the channel. So in this particular video we are going to take 10 tricky questions on electrochemistry. Now, many of you have suggested me to take question on electrochemistry, and this particular topic is actually not that difficult. It's one of the easy topics which I consider from physical chemistry, yet the numerical part is quite tricky. Okay, you have to be very careful while solving questions. So I'll be taking 10 questions in this video. I'll be telling you tricks to solve those questions, and I'll tell you that how by using minimum calculation and by applying maximum logic you can solve those questions. All right, so that's how this video is going to be all about. Now before going further into this particular video, let me tell you that I'm teaching live on an academy platform. My classes are running live over there, and I'm taking right now revision classes for CSIR NET exam, and new batches for the next CSIR exam is going to be launched very soon. So if you are interested in that, you can take an Academy Plus subscription. All the details regarding those is given in the description of this video, so do check that out. So having said that, let's start with the video. Alright, so we are going to take this first question which was asked in CSIR December 2019 exam, and this question was asked for 4 marks. Alright, the question says that for the electrochemical cell, the cell is given to you, it's a silver electrode cell, and you can see that it's Ag, like silver is getting, like the solution over here used is silver chloride. Then you have MCl which is 0.01 molar. Then again you have MCl which is 0.02 molar, and you are having the same electrode. So this type of cell reaction which is given to you, where you can see that the same electrode is being used. Okay, you can see the chlorine is on both the sides, so same electrode is being used. So what kind of cell it is? So it's a type of like this is called as a concentration cell, right? So this is concentration cell. Now the question is that the junction potential is highest when, okay, so you have to look for the junction potential. So this is a concentration cell with liquid junction potential. Okay, so this is a concentration cell with liquid junction potential. Now in order to solve these types of question, what you have to see is which ion is actually is responsible for the charge transfer. Okay, so by looking into the cell reaction or this particular reaction which is given to you, you can see that the chlorine is common in both the sides, right? The chlorine is common for both the sides. So basically chlorine is going to get deposited on the electrode, and the electrode reaction is going to happen with chlorine. So within the solution, concentration cell, it's basically the solution in which the electrolyte is same on the both side, or the solvent is basically same. So which ion is actually responsible for the charge transfer is your M. Okay, the M plus ion is actually responsible for the charge transfer over here. So the concentration or the liquid junction potential over here depends upon your transport number, right? So whose transport number is responsible? Because here the cations are responsible for the charge transfer, so the transport number of cation is going to be responsible for this. Now with this transport number, you have to put this RT upon NF, and then you have ln of you have A2 upon A1. Okay, so this A2 and A1 are different concentration, like concentration on this side is called as A2 and the concentration on this side is called A1. So generally right hand side we have A2 as the concentration, left hand side we have A1 as the concentration. So that is what it is. Okay, so this is going to give you the junction potential. Okay, so the junction potential is going to be calculated with it. Now if you look upon here in this particular equation, you can see that all these things are going to be constant for all these ions, whether you put hydrogen ion, whether you put lithium ion, sodium ion and potassium ion in the place of M plus, all these rest of the terms are going to remain constant, like R is a gas constant, T is the temperature, N is the number of electrons which are being shared at the electrode. So since electrode reaction is going to happen with chlorine, so that's why N is going to be not like N is going to depend on the chlorine ions, not on the M plus ion. Okay, and then you have A2 and A1, these are already given to, these values are fixed, 0.02 and 0.01. What varies over here is your transport number. Okay, so this transport number is going to decide the liquid junction potential. Now So the transport number, you can see that the transport number, okay, the transport number, basically it depends upon your mobility of ion. Okay, it depends upon mobility of ion. Now the mobility means how easily a ion is able to move inside the solution or inside with the solvation of the solvent. So how easily it is able to move. So it depends upon the mobility. Basically mobility depends upon two factors. First thing is charge. Okay, so with charge, if you have more charge, okay, so the mobility and charge are directly proportional. So if you have a higher charge, in that case you have more mobility. So a ion having more charge will be able to move much faster as compared to a charge or a ion having lower charge. Okay, so but here the charges are same in all the options, right? In all the options we have same charges, so you don't have to decide based upon this. The second factor which depends is the size, and size is inversely proportional to your mobility, or mobility is inversely proportional to size. So if you have a bigger ion, bigger size, and in that case it will be difficult for it to move because it will collide with the solvent molecules and it will slow down its speed. So that's why the transport number will, or the mobility will decrease, and eventually your transport number will decrease. So the overall mobility will decrease. Okay, so smaller ion will have higher mobility. Higher mobility means higher transport number. Alright, so if you look upon these options, the one which has smallest size is your H plus ion, and that's why your correct option for this particular question is going to be your H plus ion. Alright, so it was as simple as that. This is how you have to approach 4-marker question. Just by applying this much logic, you can easily do that. Alright, let's take the next question then. Okay, so in this particular question it says that the electrolyte solution that has smallest Debye length, okay, at 298 Kelvin. So there is a equation for the calculating Debye length. So either if you remember the equation, it's fine. If you don't remember, just know one thing, just like you should know the relationships. Okay, so in the equation you have like permittivity of free space, relative permittivity, and all those terms also comes, but those things are constant actually. So lambda d is how we denote Debye length. So your Debye length depends upon your ionic strength as this. Okay, so lambda d is inversely proportional to 1 upon under root I, where I is your ionic strength. So in the question they are asking is smallest Debye length. So for a smallest, okay, for a smallest lambda d, what you need? You need largest or maximum ionic strength, right? So that's what we need. Now in order to get maximum ionic strength, you know that how the ionic strength is related to the I is actually calculated as this half summation Ci and Zi square. That means the ionic strength depends upon the concentration as well as it depends upon the square of the charge. Now if you see in all the options, the concentration is actually same. The concentration is quite same. So on what factor now the ionic strength is going to depend upon? On the charges. So now just look upon the charge. Okay, so for the first option, Na is +1 and chlorine is -1. So the charges here are 1 and 1. Okay, for second it is like, because in this the charge is going to get squared up, so basically the plus and minus does not matter over here. In the second option, sodium is in +1 charge and sulfate is in 2 minus charge. So the charges are 1 and 2. In the third one, copper over here is in +2 charge and this is in -1 charge. So again the charge is 2 and 1. So for second and third option, the ionic strength will be quite equivalent. For option number 4, you will see this is lanthanum. Lanthanum will be in +3 charge and chloride will be in -1 charge. So the charge is maximum in case of option number D. So if the charge is maximum, it is going to make the ionic strength maximum, and when you get the maximum ionic strength, you get a smallest Debye length. So in this particular question, if it was asked about a smallest Debye length, that is going to be for option number 4. Why? Because it is going to have maximum ionic strength, because it has highest charge, maximum ionic strength, so smallest Debye length. All right. So without any calculation, see, you can easily solve this question. This was again asked in your December 2019 and it was a 4-marker question. Okay, this was also asked for 4 marks. Now in the same question, I want you guys to tell me that which of the following options will have largest Debye length. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to find out that which of them is going to have largest day by length. Okay, this I want answer from you guys in the comment section. Like the answer is in the options over here. Okay, 1 2 3 and 4. Just check it out and tell me in the comment section. Okay, let's take the next question. Alright guys, let's talk about this particular question which was asked in CSIR June 2019 exam, and this was again asked for 4 marks. It was a very good question. It says that the chemical potential mu of 2 molar Na2SO4 solution expressed in terms of mean ionic activity coefficient gamma will be. Okay, so to answer this particular question you need to know quite a few things. That the chemical potential mu is actually expressed in terms of your in terms of your activity coefficient. Basically it's represented in terms of activity as such, that mu is equals to mu naught plus RT ln A. Okay, that's how we represent it, where A is the activity of the solution. Now you have to express actually activity in terms of activity coefficients. Now we all know this particular thing, that activity is equals to gamma m. Okay, if we are talking about the whole solution, it goes like gamma plus minus m. So we have to calculate it for the different ions, and then we have to put it over here to solve it. Okay, that's how we are going to do. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about this reaction. So this Na2SO4 is going to break in like this particular thing is going to break into Na plus, okay, 2 moles of Na plus and plus 1 mole of SO4 2 minus. Okay, that's how the reaction is going to break. So let's say I'm going to take m moles of this. Okay, initially I'm taking m moles of this. So initially when my time is 0, at that time this is m moles and these two are not formed over there. After some time, when this is actually totally dissociated into these ions, so this will be 0 moles formed, like remaining, and here you will be having 2 m moles of this and m moles of this will be formed. Okay, so this is when the total dissociation has happened in the solution. Okay, so now this is much clear to you that how the number of moles are dissociated. I have not put the values here, I will put it later on, right? I'm just telling you the basic thing, that how you are going to talk about the reaction. Okay, now the first thing is we have to calculate this A. Is the activity of the overall salt, so or overall solution, but here we have cation and anion both. So A will be calculated as your A plus to the power x and A minus to the power y. Now what are x and y? X will be the coefficient of the cation and y is going to be the coefficient of anion in the dissociated equation or in the equilibrium equation. So if you go with that, you can see that x is equals to 2 and y is equals to 1. Alright, that's what we are going to have. Now if I put the values of A plus and A minus over here, so what I'm going to have is A is equals to A plus can be written as gamma plus into m. Okay, and since this particular thing and this is m plus, okay, that is number of moles of plus or the cation to the power x, and this will be gamma minus and m minus to the power y. So here m plus is the number of moles of your cations, m minus is the number of moles of anion. Okay, now if I write it down like this, I can write it down like gamma plus to the power x, okay, and gamma minus to the power y, and then you have m plus to the power x and m minus to the power y. Now I am going to substitute the values. So it is going to be like gamma plus and gamma minus. You know that both of these things are going to have the same, because the solution is for the same salt, so this is going to have the same value. So you can overall write it down as gamma plus minus, and the powers are going to get added. So this will be like x plus y. M plus is the number of moles of cation, that is 2 moles. Molality, okay, it's not moles, it's actually molality. So that is going to be 2m. Okay, the value of x, okay, let it be x. I'll substitute it in the next step. For the anion it is m and this is y. Now I can substitute these values. Okay, so what I'm going to get is gamma plus minus whole to the power x is 2 and y is 1. Then you have 2m to the power 2 and I have m to the power 1. Alright, this is what I'm going to have. Or I can write down that the activity, overall activity is going to come out around gamma plus minus to the power 3. 2 plus 1 is 3. 2 square is 4. Okay, and this is going to be m to the power 2 and m to the power 1. So this is going to be m cube. Okay, so this is what I have got. In the next step, what I can do is I can substitute the value of m, which is given to me. It's 2 molar. Okay, molar or molal, both of the things you can put here. So I can just put the value of m here. So my activity is going to be like gamma plus minus to the power 3, and it will be 4 into 2 to the power 3. That's what I'm going to have. Now this 4 can be written as 2 to the power 2. Okay, now see, some kind of calculation we have to utilize in order to solve it further. So I'm just going to do it on the next slide. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to substitute, or I'm just going to write down 4 as 2 to the power 2. So it will become gamma plus minus to the power 3, and it will be 2 to the power 2 and 2 to the power 3. Overall, this whole thing will become 2 to the power 5. So gamma plus minus and whole cube and 2 to the power 5. Okay, that's what I got as my activity of the equation, or activity of the solution. Now we know that we have to calculate actually mu. So in order to do that, I have to substitute the value of a over here in this equation, right? So now the next point is to calculate it. That's the final thing which we have to do. So let's try it. So we have to find out mu, that will be equal to mu naught plus RT ln, and the value of a I am going to substitute here. So it's gamma plus minus to the power 3 and 2 to the power 5. Okay, that's what I'm going to have. Now I'm going to use the equation, like I'm going to use the property of ln. So ln a into b is ln a plus ln b. So this will be like mu naught plus RT, and here I can write down it as ln gamma plus minus to the power 3 and plus ln 2 to the power 5. Okay, now the things are quite simple for me. I can write down mu naught plus this can be written as RT, and this 3 will be taken outside. So it will become 3 RT ln gamma plus minus, and plus this RT will multiply it by here also. So RT, and this 5 will come in front. So 5 RT ln 2. This is going to be your chemical potential, final chemical potential in terms of your activity coefficients. Okay, so if you look upon the option which has this 5 RT ln 2 and which has 3 RT ln gamma plus minus and mu naught, everything is there in option number A. Okay, so option A is the correct option. This B is not correct option because here you just have 3 RT ln 2. Okay, and C and D are obviously not the correct ones. So that's how it has to be done, and option number A is the correct option, right? Let's take the next question then. Alright, so let's talk about this particular question, which was again asked in CSIR June 2019, and this was asked for 4 marks. The question basically is like if the overpotential of the electrolysis process is increased from 0.5 volt to 0.6 volt, then the ratio of current densities, okay, in like that is ln J 0.6 to ln like to J 0.5 of the electrolysis will be equal to, okay, it's given that the transfer coefficient is 0.5. Now this particular equation, to solve it you need to know a particular equation called as a TEFL equation. Okay, so TEFL equation, what is this TEFL equation? Basically TEFL equation is equation in the electrochemical kinetics, which basically relates your rate of electrochemical reaction with the overpotential. Now there are many other terms like overpotential, current density, transfer coefficient. Now, I'm not going to go in detail of it. For that I'll make a separate video in which I'll explain the TEFL equation completely, but here we just have to see the application part of that. So the TEFL equation is given by like it's given as eta is equals to RT upon alpha F, and it's like ln Ji upon J naught. Okay, now what are the terms here you should know? Eta is your overpotential. I'm just going to write down here. Okay, so eta is your overpotential. Alpha over here is your transfer coefficient. Okay, it's transfer coefficient. Then your Ji upon J naught is the current density. Okay, so J denotes your current density. Rest of the things are constant, like R is a gas constant, T is a temperature, F is the Faraday constant. You know all those things. So that's what it is. Okay, you have to use this equation to solve this particular question. Now you know this thing that eta for 2 different values. Okay, we have to calculate it for 2 different values. So first of all, we'll have eta for 0.6 volt. Okay, so for that it will be given as RT upon alpha F, and this will be ln J 0.6 upon J naught. Okay, J naught is the initial current density. Okay, and the other equation will be like eta 0.5, and that will be given by RT upon alpha F, and it will be ln J 0.5 upon J 0.5 upon J naught. Okay, so now you have got both these equations. What you have to do is you have to subtract both these equations. Okay, so if you subtract both these equations, what you are going to get is eta 0.6 minus eta 0.5. This is going to be equal to, when you subtract both of these things, this is going to be constant, so RT upon alpha F will be constant, and in the bracket you will write down it like ln J 0.5, sorry, because you are putting 0.6 first, right? So it will be 0.6 upon J naught minus ln J 0.5 upon J naught. Okay, now what you have to do is you have to solve this bracket. So I'm just going to do it on the next slide, and then I'll let you know that what you are going to get. Now when you solve this particular equation, what you are going to get basically is this, that is RT upon alpha F will remain as it is. Here if you solve the bracket, it will become ln J 0.6 minus ln J naught. Why? Because ln A upon B can be written as like this. Okay, so I have just written it minus, it will become ln J 0.5, and this will be like minus ln J naught, right? And this minus sign is going to make that plus, so plus ln J naught. So this term and this term will get cancelled out. What you are going to get is RT upon alpha F, and this is ln J 0.6 minus J 0.5, or you can write down ln J 0.6 upon J 0.5. Now if you see the question, basically they are asking to find out the value of this, right? This particular thing is what they are actually trying to find out. So this is what you have to find out. On the other side of equation, I have sorry, it's a misprint over here. It should be eta, right? It should be eta. So it has to be eta 0.6 minus eta 0.5. So here again I'll be having this term, that is eta 0.6 minus eta 0.5. So if I have to find out this particular term, that is ln J 0.6 divided by J 0.5, this particular thing is going to be, so all the other things you have to take on the other side. So it will be eta 0.6 minus eta 0.5 multiplied by this alpha F and divided by RT. So that's what you are going to get. Now put the values over here which are given to you. The values are given to you, the over potentials are given to you, 0.5 and 0.6. So just put those values here. So it is going to be 0.6 minus 0.5 multiplied by alpha value is the that's basically your transfer coefficient, and it's given to you as 0.5. So substitute that, so 0.5, and put the value of farad. Let it be F only, because in the options you have the values in F and RT. So keep it as it is, divided by RT, solve it, and you will get the answer. So here you are going to get 0.01, right? So you are going to get 0.1 multiplied by 0.5 F upon RT. So overall, if you calculate this, this value is going to be 0.05 F upon RT. Okay, that's what is going to be the value. So if you look upon this option, like if you look upon the question, so the answer which you are going to expect in this is going to be 0.05 F upon RT. Okay, so that's what is going to be the value of ln J 0.6 upon J 0.5. So the correct option comes out to be your option number B. Okay, so TEFL equation is also one of the point. If you have not studied while preparing for the CSIR NET exam, if while preparing for the while preparing for electrochemistry, if you have not studied TEFL equation, I would highly recommend you to study that. Okay, let's take the next question then. Alright guys, let's talk about this particular question, which was again asked in CSIR June 2019 exam, and this was asked for 2 marks. Okay, the question is pretty simple. It says that the electric double layer model among the following that consists of both fixed and diffused layer. Okay, so they're talking about both fixed and diffused layer. So the option are like Helmholtz model, Goe model, or Stern model, or Debye-Heckel model. So there are four models basically. Debye-Heckel model was very primitive. So Debye-Heckel model basically that actually talks about very dilute solutions, and it talks about the van der Waals force of attraction over there. So this particular equation, or this does not actually is about those electric double layer over here. Okay, it's just a very primitive equation, or the primitive way which was developed on the electric double layer. So this cannot be your option. Here the fixed and diffuse layer were not taken into consideration. It was just applicable for the dilute solutions, and the charges were taken into consideration. It was taken that up to what length a particular ion is going to get screened because of the solvent effect and all. Okay, so that's what was your Debye-Heckel like model. So you just have to cancel that. Talking about this Helmholtz and Stern model, this Helmholtz model was totally on the fixed layer. Okay, it basically talks about the fixed layer. So like on the first layer, how the ions, counter ions are going to get fixed. Helmholtz model talks about that, so that's also not going to be the option. Your Goe-Chapman equation, or Goe-Chapman model, basically talks about more of your diffused. Okay, it talks about more of your diffused layers. So the ions are diffused over here, they're not fixed in this Goe-Chapman model. So this is also not the option. The correct option is a Stern model, where both the ions are taken into consideration, the fixed ions, also the diffused ions. So you have to study this in detail, this Stern model and the electric double layer theory. So that is where you will get to know all these things. Okay, so I've just given you a brief introduction or brief points that what these models actually correspond to. But yeah, Stern model is the one which deals with both fixed and diffused layer. All right, so this is how you have to approach this question. Okay, so let's take the next one then. Alright, so let's talk about this particular question. It was again asked in CSIR June 2019 exam, and it was asked for 2 marks. Okay, this was a 2 marker question. So let's try to see that how it will be done. It says that the mobility of the divalent cation in the water is 8 into 10 to the power minus 8 meter square per volt per second. The effective radius of the ion is, okay, they are asking about the effective radius. Viscosity of the water is given as 1 centipoise. Okay, Cp is centipoise, it's a unit of viscosity, and E is the charge of the electron. It has to be taken as 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulombs. So to solve this particular question, you need to solve it according to the mobility equation. So mobility of the ion is given by this. So mu is equals to you have mu is equals to Ze divided by, you have 6 pi eta r. Okay, you have to tell me in the comments that which equation is it. Okay, so you have to tell the name of this equation. That is one thing which I'm leaving for you guys. Okay, so you have to calculate r. So r will be like Ze upon 6 pi and eta mu. Just put the values over here now. So since it is a divalent cation, so Z will be 2 over here, E will be 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulombs divided by 6 into pi is 3.14. Eta is going to be your viscosity, and it's given to you as 1 centipoise. So convert that into poise. So that will be 1 into 10 to the power minus 3 poise. Okay, so I have converted this centipoise into poise. And mu is your mobility, that's given to you as 8 into 10 to the power minus 8. So this is a whole bunch of calculation which we have to do over here, and that's what is going to be. So it is going to be like 212.3 into 10 to the power minus 12 meters. That's what is going to be the radii. In terms of picometer, it is going to be 212 picometers. Okay, so that's how it will be done. Option number D is going to be the correct option for this. Alright, so this is how it has to be done. It was simple. You just need to remember this particular formula. Okay. Alright, so let's go for the next question then. Alright, so next we are going to talk about this question which was asked in CSIR December 2018 and it was asked for 2 marks. Okay, the question says that the correct statement among the following is. Now they are talking about salt bridge. Okay, so for this you need to remember, or you need to study about the cells and how the structure of the cell is, and what's the function of cell potential, which electrode is going to undergo reduction, which is undergoing oxidation. So everything you have to study about the cell. Now this question actually is very simple. It's very trivial. If I ask the same question for a class 12th student, okay, he would be also able to answer the question, because these are very basic things. Even you have been taught the same thing in bachelor, same thing in masters, and same thing in your class 12. So it is something which you carry forward, which you remember, which you know actually. So this was one of the very simple question, okay, from the electrochemistry. It says correct statement among the following is, the following statements are there. First says that salt bridge is required for the mixing of solution of the two half cell. Is it so? Does the two solutions mix over there? You know that the two half cells are over here like this. Electrodes are there, respective electrodes are there in the solutions, okay, they are kept inside the solutions. And you know that the salt bridge actually like is something like this, right? The salt bridge is formed like this. Remember this? You might remember it like the diagram of it. And then the cell is like made it like this, okay. So yeah, so fine, basically the first statement is not correct. Second one says that salt bridge allows the current to flow between the two half cell without mixing the solution. Is it so? Is the salt bridge allows the flow of the current? Yes, it allows that. It allows, or it neutralizes the charges which are developed, extra charges. So it gives, if the salt bridge is KCl, so it will give the K plus ion and Cl minus ion to counteract or to balance the charges. And in process of that, it is going to complete the circuit, okay. So basic function of salt bridge is to complete the circuit in order to balance the charges on both the sides. So these are some of the basic functions of salt bridge. So second statement is actually the correct one, that salt bridge allows current to flow between the two half cells without mixing of the solution. Let's look for the other statements. C statement says that salt bridge enhances the rate of the reaction. Is it so? No, the rate of the reaction does not depend upon the salt bridge at all. Next is that the salt bridge consists of non-electrolyte in a gel. That's also wrong. You need electrolyte over there, like KCl is an electrolytic solution, and that's present in the gel, okay. So it should not be non-electrolyte, otherwise that's of no use, right? So yeah, that's how statement number B is actually your correct statement for this particular question. All right, so this is how it has to be done. Let's take the next question now. Alright, so let's look upon this equation. It says that the standard free energy of the reaction is given as silver bromide is getting converted into silver plus ion and bromide ion, okay. The closest equation is what they are asking. So the E naught value is given to you, reduction potential of your silver is also given to you. So this is a silver electrode, okay. This is the reaction for the silver electrode. To answer this question, you need to know the overall reaction of the silver electrode, okay, so that how the reaction actually is done. Alright, so this cell reaction which is already given to us, in which it is given that AgBr is getting converted into Ag plus and Br minus. This reaction can be written as, the complete reaction can be written in this way, that Ag in the solid form, it reacts with AgBr, okay, and this basically gives you Ag plus, and plus it gives you Br minus, and plus it gives you silver in the solid form. Now if you see here, so this silver is actually undergoing oxidation, right? There is oxidation which is happening, and you know that oxidation happens at anode, so let me write down it here itself. And this in the silver bromide here, if you see, so this particular thing, this silver over here is undergoing reduction, okay. So it's undergoing reduction. Basically you can do it like this also, from here to here. So it's undergoing reduction, and this is going to happen in cathode, okay. So silver is oxidizing itself, and silver is basically, it should be much better if we write it down like this, okay. If we just write it like this, right, this overall thing, okay. So silver is undergoing oxidation and reduction both. So the E naught of the cell, okay, if I have to write down the E naught, standard cell standard free energy is asked, let's calculate the E naught. So E naught of the cell will be equal to E cathode minus E anode. So in the cathode, so E cathode minus E anode. So let's write down the values now. Cathode value is the one where AgBr is getting converted into Ag and Br minus. Its value is given to us as 0.07 volt, and minus, so here its value is 0.80. so let's write it down. So 0.80, if you solve this, so basically your E naught of the cell will come out around 0 point with a negative sign, 0.73 volt. Okay, so that's what is going to be your E naught of the cell. Now once you have calculated your E naught, it's very simple to calculate delta G of the reaction. Delta G is equals to minus N, F and E, and if you put the values, so minus N value will be 1 here, F is 96500, and E you just calculated as minus 0.73 volt. Multiply each of them and just do it. So you are going to get as 70445 joules per mole. Okay, now if you see the option in the joule per mole, you have only 70. That is not the option here. So rest of the options are in kilojoules also. So let's convert it in kilojoules. So when you convert it in kilojoules, it will be 70.445 kilojoules per mole, or approximately or roughly it is 70 kilojoules per mole. So option number C is the correct option for this. Okay, so this is how it has to be done. Alright, so it was pretty simple to solve this. Let's try to do the next one. Alright guys, so let's try to take this particular question. It was again asked in CSIR December 2018 exam, and it was a 4-marker question. Okay, it was a very good question. Okay, it says that the conductivities of water and the saturated solution of a sparingly soluble salt, that is AB2, are 7 and 21 microsiemens per meter respectively, and they have given you the corresponding like molar conductivity at infinite dilution of your cation and anion both. They are asking the solubility of AB2. Okay, so they are asking about the solubility in moles per meter cube. So let's try to solve it up. Okay, so for solving this, you first of all you need to know that they have given you for water and saturated solution. They have not given you for the salt, that what is going to be the conductivity over there. Okay, so first of all let's try to find out for the salt. So like if I have to write down the conductivity of solution, okay, will be equal to the conductivity of water, okay, H2O, and plus the conductivity of salt, that is AB2. So the solution is given to me as 21. For water it is given 7, and this is not given to me. So basically what I can interpret, that the conductivity of my salt is going to be 21 minus 7, that is going to be 14 microsiemens per meter. Okay, this is going to be the conductivity of my salt. Okay, this is very important to calculate. Now once we have done this, you have to convert this into Siemens, because that is going to be the standard values. So 14 into 10 to the power minus 6 Siemens per meter. Okay, so microsiemens has been converted into Siemens. So that's what we have got. Alright, so now once you are done with this conductivity, the next thing is you have to deal with the salt itself, that how the salt is getting dissociated. So this salt, which was like AB2, is actually going to dissociate as A, and since A is a dye-positive cation which is given to us, and B is a single anion or a mono anionic anion, okay, mono charged anion. So this is going to be 2 times of it. Fine. So if I have to write down the molar conductivity of AB2, okay, so lambda for AB2, if I have to write down, so this is going to be lambda naught, okay, molar conductivity at infinite dilution of your A2 plus, and plus molar conductivity at infinite dilution of B minus into 2. Okay, so I have to multiply this with 2 as well. So I have to multiply, yeah, so basically I have to take plus 2 times of lambda naught B minus. Okay, in that case I'll calculate the molar conductivity of the salt itself. So put the values here. It was given to me as 12.72, and plus the value of this is 2 times of 7.64. so if you solve this, so basically you are going to get 28. Okay, and these values are in millisiemens, so it will be millisiemens per meter square per mole. So basically you can write it down in the terms of standard units as so this is going to be 28 into 10 to the power minus 3 Siemens meter square per mole. Okay, that's what you are going to get here. Now once you have done it, once you have calculated this, now you have to calculate the solubility. So how this molar conductivity and the conductivity are related to each other with respect to solubility? So you have to use this equation, that is lambda naught of AB. Okay, this has to be lambda naught. Lambda naught of AB2 is equals to K of AB2 divided by 1000 into solubility of AB2. Okay, this equation will be used to solve it further. Now all the values are given to us. Let's put it out and solve it. So I'm just going to do it somewhere over here in the vacant space. So what I'm going to get is solubility of AB2 will be equal to, now if I bring solubility this side, K will remain as it is. So K was 14 into 10 to the power minus 6 divided by 1000 multiplied by this lambda value, so lambda naught value, so that is 28 into 10 to the power minus 3. Fine, so if you solve this all, you are going to get solubility of AB2 as 5 into 10 to the power minus 4. Okay, and this will be in moles per meter cube. Okay, so I have solved it to tell you all. I've already done all these calculations. So yeah, the correct option comes out to be your option number A. Okay, so this is how it has to be done, and the calculation part and the rest of the things are done like that. I hope this is much clear to you. Okay, so the key point to solve this question was to find out the conductivity of the salt and then to do it further. So that's how it has to be done. All right, let's take the next one then. Alright guys, this is again a very good question which was asked in CSIR December 2018 exam, and this was asked for 4 marks. Okay, it was a very nice question. It says that the equilibrium constant for the following reaction. The reaction is given to you at 300 Kelvin you are doing, and the E naught values are given to you. Okay, the reduction potential from tin plus 4 to tin plus 2 and from tin plus 2 to tin, these values are given to you. R is also given to you. Faraday value is also given to you. That's what you have to put. So basically, first of all, you have to write down the reaction. Okay, so tin is basically reacting with tin in plus 4 state, and this is going to give you 2 moles of this. So let me write down it like this. I can write down it as tin plus 2 plus tin plus 2. So if I check it out, I can say that this basically is showing me oxidation because the oxidation state is increasing. Okay, so this is oxidation, and this is going to happen at anode. And the next thing is here where the oxidation state is actually decreasing. So this is reduction which is happening, and this is going to happen at cathode. Right, now once you know that, what you have to do is you have to find out the E naught of the reaction. E naught of the reaction can be calculated as, like, E naught of cell will be calculated as E cathode minus E anode. Okay, or E cathode minus E anode. So if you put these values, E cathode is given to you like for 10 plus 4 to 10 plus 2, it's like 0.15, and minus for anode it's like from yeah, so this is oxidation happening, and it's given like in the reduction potential it is given, so minus 0.15. so the values are kept in the reduction potential, so let it be like that only. So this whole thing is going to have something like, you are going to have something like minus will be plus, so it is going to give you like 0.3 volt. Okay, so this is what you are going to get, 30 volt. Now once you got the E naught of the reaction, you can now use the equation to find out your equilibrium constant. So how to do that? So E naught of the cell is equals to like RT upon NF, and you have ln KEQ. Okay, that's how we do it. Or we can say that if you put the values, so E naught of the cell is 0.30, and that is going to be equal to R is going to be 8.314, T is 300 kelvins divided by N over here will be 2, right? Because the differences of 2 electrons. So if you take the reaction separately, you will see that the two electrons are getting exchanged. And then you have F. F is given to you, take it as 96485. You can convert this ln KEQ into log. So you can just multiply with 2.303 and it will become log KEQ. Okay. So now it is much easier for you to convert it into 10 log base 10. Okay. So fine. The next thing which we have to do, I'm just going to do it here itself. So you are going to get log KEQ is equals to, I have just solved everything. Okay, you have to just multiply, divide, and all these things, calculation you have to do. So after the calculation, you are going to get 10.08, or you can say that KEQ is going to be equal to 10 to the power 10.08. This is going to be the final answer. How I have done this? You know this particular relation, right? This is pretty simple relation, that if you have log x is equals to y, so you can say that x is equals to 10 to the power y. So same thing I have done. In the place of x I have KEQ, and in the place of y I have 10.08. So my correct option comes out to be option number C. Okay, so this is how it has to be done. So these were certain questions which were asked from your electrochemistry in the previous years of CSNET exam, and they were quite tricky one. Quite of them were tricky ones. So I just wanted to discuss with you all, right? So that's all from my side, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that whatever we have discussed in the class is beneficial to you. You have understood it well, and I just hope that like you are liking this particular series, right? So if you like this particular video, please like the video. If you want, please share it with your friends. If you have not subscribed the channel yet, please subscribe to the channel, and you can follow the page on Facebook as well as on Instagram as well. So the page name is same, that is all about chemistry. The channel handle is @chemoholic. Okay, so there is double L in chemoholic, so make sure you follow the correct channel. So that's all from my side, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Do let me know in the comment section which topic you want me to share, like make video for the next one. And for this particular video, that's all from my side. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day, guys. Bye bye.